Ja Hannulla oli.
Yes, I'm Hannu Hyvösen, a documentary maker and environmentalist, and I would like to get some consulting from you for a certain case, because I have been studying now for 3-4 years following the uranium mine in Finland, which was built illegally without telling the uranium. It's actually a nickel mine, Talvivaara. And our recent findings were that when this mine was built and uranium was not mentioned at all, so when they enriched the uranium, it was not visible, and we have found that a rumor, or not a rumor, information that most of the uranium would have gone to the Harjavalta nickel company, which could take it off from the nickel stuff. It was going with the nickel to nickel metal. It's a nickel
metal.
Nickel metal, and I have found out that it's not very unusual that there is uranium among other metals. And from WikiLeaks there was found that from Congo it was brought to Finland to one metal factory iron stuff with uranium, and then with that case Finnish radioactivity officers said we don't control that import because there is so little uranium. But if they don't control, how do they know that there is little? But the same reply was when we found out that it's possible that there has been going maybe 100,000 kilos uranium to Harjavalta, or maybe more, without any kind of control. They said we don't need to control that flow because we know that there is no little of uranium. But there is only the word of the importer in both cases. So we have this kind of big news about the only functioning uranium mine in Europe today. It's Talvivaara, and this uranium is totally out of control. And when we released this news a week ago, we didn't get any single news in Finnish media. And this tells the problem we have in Finland. Finland is maybe a little different country like England, because this is a small country. When the main media don't look at the news, the smaller media have not courage to publish it because they lose their credibility. They have been fooled maybe. And our group, which has been investigating that we have been labeled as paranoid and so on, we have been compromised totally, so that the whole media can close our mouths. But what should we do now? Because it's a dead end in this country. How have you experienced this similar situation in some country? The atmosphere is so closed. Of course, we can speak about North Korea, but we are now in Finland. And we have the situation similar here.
No, it's a good question. This comes up frequently. For example, the last time somebody asked me, that was in Tanzania, because Tanzania also has a uranium mine. So there was some issue there of which company it was that had done the drilling, because the government had accepted bribes to keep the name of the company secret. And so they did the leasing arrangements in secret. So that's how we discovered that it was uranium, because the arrangements were far too secret, far too careful for ordinary mining. It was like a whole different area. And when you asked questions in Tanzania, the secret police came. So you knew that was a serious issue. But I would think that you go to unlikely places to find more information. For example, I mean, there's all the Swiss elements of the UN, which have atomic research elements in them. And there would be, not all the people there are supporting the state. There would be independent people there who might have some integrity enough to talk to you. Second, the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists in the States. That's a notoriously progressive operation. And they would be sympathetic with what you're doing. because they don't agree with all this business. So they would be other people to talk to. I mean, there would be groups of scientists who are good in this area, and they would be the best operational people for you, I would think, because people listen to them, and they take them seriously. You can't denounce them all as communists, you know, which is what they do all the time. But so it's a strong position. That's what I would do initially. And then I would find whoever is the most progressive nuclear commentator in the main media in Germany and Britain and America and get in touch with them. Maybe we could help you with that. I mean, by sending a letter out on your behalf or something, but I'm happy to help with you if you can, because it's an important story, clearly.
I think that what we would now need would be some foreign news about this.
Yeah.
That would push Finnish media on the mirror. Why couldn't we tell the Finnish people this is now a big news in abroad? But is it possible? Can you consult us how we can get this news in England or Germany?
I mean, it may be that you have to conduct serious scientific inquiries of your own. Maybe you've done that. But, I mean, for example, getting Geiger counters and alpha meters somewhere near this stuff, so you have a record, a physical record of what's actually happening, you know, in a nuclear way there. But, I mean, I'm not an expert in this, but I'm just thinking that you need scientific expertise to help you. And it must be out there. I'm sure there are, because a lot of the atomic scientists are quite progressive people. So they would be interested to help you, I think.
Joo, hyvä yleisö. Tässä tehdään historiaa nimittäin. Hannu Hyvönen, Talvivaara-liikkeen aktiivi tässä juuri verkostoitui selkeästi tuonne tutkivan journalismin keskuksen suuntaan. Eli tässä on ollut sellainen ongelma, että Talvivaara-liike on paljastanut tämän Talvivaara-kaivoksen nikkelilouhinnan ohella tapahtunutta uraanin louhintaa, joka on tapahtunut siis vähän niin kuin off records. Ja liike on tehnyt tosiaan tutkimusta, jota ei ole Suomessa mediassa julkaistu oikeastaan muualla kuin Tiedonantajassa. Valtavirtamediaan ei ole päässyt paljon tietoja ja nyt liike hakee sitten muualta apuja ja Gavin tuossa justiin lupasi, että hän voi auttaa tämän tiedon levittämisessä. Tämä on hieno juttu. Ja meillä on aikaa vielä kysymykselle tai parille siitä edestä.
Hello, I'm Heikki Kuutti from the local university, and actually I don't believe very much about your conspiracy theories in Finland. We have a problem, as mentioned here, that Finland is a very small country, and the unemployment rate of journalists has increased tremendously at the moment. So there are less people doing more work because of the internet, and the internet requires very speed actions. So in that sense, investigative journalism is going to be not very, it's marginal phenomenon anymore. So, and one reason is that actually this kind of reality programs in TV has increased. So people do not anymore read investigate stories, or they don't understand the stories. So what do you say, how could we change, reform the story content for people to read more of this, because the media companies do need to see that people are not reading these stories, so then they don't produce them. And one problem is that the ownership of media is faceless at this moment. So people are, it's share companies now, and people want profits. There's nobody to accuse about the status of a journalist at the moment. So everything is changed, and I can say that journalism is not anymore journalist anymore. Yes, but what can we do to the stories to increase the readership?
Well, this is a problem not for us, it's a problem for the publishers and the editors. Most of the big journalists that I know of regard the editors in general as enemies. And the publishers as the enemy's enemy. They're the worst of all. But because it's not in their interest to do what we do. It's true that what we do is expensive and time-consuming. I don't believe myself that people don't want to read it. I think they do, as we've discovered. For example, in Britain, we got electronic information about how the MPs in Parliament spent their expense money. And it was called MPs' Expenses. And this story took the one newspaper, the Telegraph, from 420,000 a day to almost 2 million a day. So there's no doubt that if the story is told well and the facts are good, that people will read it. They will read it. So the problem is the editors who don't want to do it. The publishers who say, it's too expensive. Find another way. Tell me more lifestyle. Can I have a piece about golf? You know, or whatever. That's what they're really interested in. But I think you'll find in most countries, I'm sure there are some things to prove your point, but in most countries, people will read good information if it's well presented in an intelligent way. I mean, people are people. And I think they'll do that. I think the problem is the publishers, for example, give you one of the most successful investigations ever done on a medical issue was something on thalidomide. You know, the drug that produced babies in a terrible state. And it was given to women 30 years ago for all sorts of reasons. Now, the reason that investigation was so successful, and it cost the pharmaceutical business hundreds of millions to fight them, and they lost. And they gave a hell of a lot of money to all the women and to the victims. The reason that was successful is they ran it every week, a new story on the same subject every week. Like a campaign. Every week there was another horrible story. People said, my God, how can this happen? You know, and that worked. So you just have to use your ingenuity and find ways of fighting. Also to embarrass the publishers by saying, why is it you've not published these stories? And you can do that on the internet. If there's a serious story that you think should go, put it on the internet. Maybe you have to get together with other reporters and other journalists and build a machine out there, an alternative news machine. I mean, America has one, which is read by millions of people. It's called Amy Goodman, Democracy Now! I mean, that's a very powerful, and it's got 1,400 outlets in America now. Every university in America has got a radio station which plays their stuff. As a result, some of the big stations are now running it because they know there's a lot of people who watch it or listen to it. So we just need to be ingenious and keep pushing. The one thing about the internet, which is great, is it's cheap. It's relatively cheap to do. So in fact, any group of 4 or 5 people can get together and build you a website and get going. And then we have to get you some clever publicity to do this. That could be done. Yeah?
Maybe he could give his story to Amy, and Amy could tell about, oh, in Finland there is uranium being dug up, and
that's a good idea, but I think but even so, you still need some scientific evidence behind you.
Yeah.
Once you have that, go to Amy Goodman, go to anybody you can. But also, I think you'll get some help. You will get help. If there's a story there, you'll get help.
Joo, eli lyhyesti tässä siis esitettiin epäilys siitä, että lukeeko suuri yleisö enää tällaisia hyvin toimitettuja pitkiä tutkivan journalismin juttuja, ja kävin noista sitä mieltä, että kyllä lukee, että se on itse asiassa päätoimittajat ja kustantajat, jotka niin kun väittää, että niitä ei lueta, koska ne maksaa ja ne on muutenkin hankalia, ja sen sijaan meille syötetään tätä reality-tositelevisio-soopaa, mutta ehkä yleisö kaipaisi vähän muutakin. Ja meillä on nyt